Um, Let me tell you. I had to take a break. I'm trying to do this as quick as possible. So some of my cheese wouldn't melt, but I just tasted the sauce on my homemade lasagna. Everything but the noodles and the cheese. I mean, just the sauce homemade. And I even had the butcher ground some beef I cut off at the one grocery store, the OG store or the Illuminati store. You have to excuse me while I talk to myself, but I hear the internet is full right now. So me to talk to me. Um, while we review a little evidence I have about me being held hostage, um, some of the property that the Social Security Administration took when the secretary came down and said we didn't do anything wrong when we took it. We're gonna give it back to him. They said, and he was all right in anyway. We gave him a place to stay. He could have got a place went and got somewhere at the Department of Housing, or you could have went and got food stamps to help out with food, because they have this program called SNAP benefits where you can go get food assistance. So got a little safety net, is what the secretary said. But what if you don't have that safety net? What if that safety net that the secretary is talking about is just actually a different pool of money? This fraud. It's she says it's there. She or he, the secretary, says it's there, but it's not actually there. For example, we're going to listen to a couple of phone calls, and I'm going to just tell you who this is. The Department of Agriculture has this program, AFDC funded program, called the SNAP Benefits Program, where if you reach a point, whether you be a employed person or unemployed person, or family or whatever the situation is, if you reach a point of hardship with your income, only income based, well, what they do is they supplement up to a certain point of what your food costs are. So say, for example, if your food cost per month is $400 a month, the SNAP benefit program may give you up to $200 off of that $400 that you spend every month. And if you eat like me, you spend like probably $400 a month on food. So $200 off of that $400 can come in very handy. So the way they do this, the SNAP program is a federal government as a dollar grant. And then the grant goes to the counties, who then count up the number of people who use the AFDC funding, and then they give part of that to SNAP to do what SNAP does for those people. But where I live, SNAP has been one of the biggest contributors to Webster County's income. For a long time, it funded the people at the jail. No matter what your income was at the jail, SNAP benefits were paid to the jail to buy food for the jail to supplement their costs. Wasn't low income based then, but that's what happened when the money got to Webster County. Now, I don't know if they're still doing that, but that's not how the pots work in the federal government, because there is a Department of Justice whose job is to fund those jails. So they supplement whatever the costs are for the jail. So the mixing of funding there was a little funny. So I wanted to, in my experience with low income, an injury directly caused by the Social Security Administration, I was actually directed to that federal program for assistance, which should allow you to bypass any state or local assistance that you need. You go straight to the government and they give you $200 off your food every month. And then your state and your local government can chip in on top of that. But for me, I was a hard worker. So $200 a month goes a long way, but it's not going to go as far as I needs to go for me to keep the pace of income that I was at. So like I said, it's income based. So the goal for me is, and for you and anyone else there, is to maintain your income level or increase your income level. If your income starts to go down, then you likely qualify for benefits if there's a reason for your income going down. So what we're going to do now is listen to how the information about income and expenses are entered into the Webster County, Mississippi SNAP benefit programs request for funding. They type in the information on the individual and they create a record that establishes whether or not this person meets criteria for providing either temporary or, in some disabled persons' cases, long-term or permanent food assistance, because you've reached the maximum level that for some people have reached the maximum level that you could reach on your income because of a disability or because of some other reason, or you just chosen to reach that maximum level of income. Then you have that option of the supplement that's there. So what we're going to do is listen to how the Webster County representatives want their employees to complete this process. Now, mind you, this is after 2 Black persons were fired. Well, no, I don't want to say they were fired. They were removed from my case because the information that I gave them, they entered it into the system properly from what I did, to achieve the goal of the federal government at accurately laying out the necessities for the SNAP program. So now let's listen to what happened after these firings were happening. So what you're about to hear now is, her name is Annie Doris Patterson. She's the director of the Webster County SNAP benefit program. I'm not sure if she's over the entire social services, the social service program. I'm not sure if she's over that entire section, but Webster County probably services maybe 2,500 people right now. We're having a lot of people dying, but probably right now services about 2,500 people. And she's probably, of that 2,500 people, she's probably serving a big chunk of them with SNAP benefits. But this is her explaining something about my concerns about how what was written in my notices. You said Ann Hitt is the new caseworker?
She's your caseworker.
Yeah, Sheldon said that he was sending my information back. You're telling me that the caseworker that Sheldon assigned, and caseworker that has the fraud complaint?
Now, I'm not understanding you,
I submitted a complaint to the USDA about fraud regarding the $250 that Sarah Freeland said that was supposed to be added to my shelter cost. That never happened. I'm waiting to hear from the USDA about the fraud that I said that Ann Hitt participated in. So she is still the caseworker, even though she has a fraud complaint against her.
She is your caseworker. That 250 was put in your budget.
I'm sorry. I have no proof of what you're telling me. And if you'd like to prove it, write it down, send it to me. The complaint has already been made. I'm waiting to hear from the USDA. So now, the caseworker that was assigned by Sheldon.
He didn't assign the caseworker to you. Now, your caseworker is signed by me. We only have 2 caseworkers in the county.
What did he do?
The recertification that you completed last month. He finished up the work on it. Sent you the notice of your certification, how long you're certified, and what you're eligible for.
I didn't get anything like that from him.
You got a notice of approval with his name on it, remember? Well, so back in the approval notice, it has Mr. Harmon's name on it.
I didn't get that. Now, I got a notice from Mr. Herman that she's speaking of the day after I could attempted suicide right outside, that I could catch Ann Hitt. I wanted Ann Hitt to get the same thing that Roger Lott was getting because I knew this was happening. I knew this was happening. Now, I can't say whether or not Annie Doris Patterson this was happening, but the letter that I got from Sherman that we're discussing right now was actually the first letter where Mississippi acknowledged that I am officially a homeless person, that all of my expenses should be calculated under the criteria of a homeless person because I live with my parents and I don't want to. Well, I live with my parents. My mom lives with her mom to take care of her. And I thus, with nowhere else to go because my property was by the Social Security Administration, have been staying there and contributing what I could when I could get it. And that's the case today. The call that you're hearing, I believe, is from 2017. I got a notice from when the case was worked by you, and then I asked for an appeal. You gave the case to Sherman. He made a phone call, and then he sent me an email telling me that the case was being sent back to Webster County to update the expenses that I reported. And I haven't heard from anyone since then.
Mr. Let me get your case up. What happened?
Okay, whatever it is, I don't want you to tell me. Write it down. Okay, I'm calling because you haven't written anything to me. I'm calling because you haven't written anything to me. You don't have to tell me over the phone. I want you to write it down. What you're saying, I want you to write it down. Okay? Whatever you're attempting to say right now, can you write down what you're trying to say? Can you write down what you're trying to say? Can you write it down? Can you write it down?
I wrote it down.
All right. Well, will you write whatever it is that you're attempting to say right now? Can you write that down today? Now, you hear her plainly saying, "Let me go and look at your record." We clarified that her supervisor, Sherman, has advised her to go in and make corrections. Now, she, like the Social Security Administration, sent me a notice saying, yeah, I did what Sherman told me to do. But I didn't see what she said Sherman did. And I saw no proof of it, because if she had reported what I reported as my expense, then there would have been a massive change in my benefit amount, almost $150. Now, let me say this. The federal government knows, because the people who passed the legislation to give out food stamps are currently former senators of the United States. And guess what they're doing? Selling marijuana. They got a head start on selling marijuana. Now, because I know my United Senator doesn't have the right to sell marijuana while I get denied the right to eat because I smoke it. That's common sense to me. Now, I don't know why I was asked that question, but Annie Doris Patterson asked me that question, and my answer to her, because I know what my rights are, she didn't have a right to ask me that question, but I did have a right to bait her into investigating it to see how far she's going with this unconstitutional crime she committed. So when she asked me, "Do you smoke marijuana?" I said no. And the next time I went into her office, I had smoked a lot of marijuana to make sure that the smell was on me. And she didn't ask me again, but while she was in an interview about this same issue, why this case was sent to her supervisor. While she was in that interview, she kept saying, drugs, drugs, drugs. And that's when I realized there's her hand there. There is Annie Doris Patterson's hand in the way. She's literally got her hand in the way, because she could have just said, conducted the interview that we were without any references to that. But she continued to say it, as the Trent Lott and John Boehner have the right to sit on the United States Senate and vote to lock up Black men who sell marijuana and then get off the United States Senate and go and sell it themselves. And Patterson said that that was okay. And this is who you're listening to. And put that to me either in my NBA check account or in the U.S. mail. Or you can email it to me. You will. I'm not asking you to send me. I never got this copy. She sent me a copy of. Well, actually, I did. You'll hear more. You're here in a minute. Send me whatever you're trying to say on the phone right now. I want you to send that to me. I don't need a copy of anything. Your words, the words that you are trying to say right now, not a copy of anything. What you're trying to say over the phone that I am. In other words, say, "Hi, Annie Doris Patterson spoke to Zori N. Rush on this day. We discussed this issue. This is what I said. This is what you said." What I'm asking the director for. Over right now is what I want you to put on the piece of paper and send to me. Are you capable of doing so? We've all that, Mr. Rush. No, what you're saying over the phone right now, you've already sent to me in the mail. What you're saying on the phone right now, you've already sent to me in the mail, or you've written it down already. Is that what you're saying on the phone that both of us are recording right now? Is that what you're trying to say? You're going to send that to me in the mail, but you've already sent it. I am saying that we have already sent you a notification of approval for your recertification. Mr. Harmon did that. I heard that. Mr. Harmon sent me a letter in the email telling me he was sending my case back to you for updated requirements. Have you sent me anything since then?
Send it today.
You sent it today. You sent it today. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
All right, folks. That's Miss Patterson. We haven't gotten to the good part because thus far, all the caseworkers are black. And I believe that all the caseworkers actually believe this is their job because this is how this woman does her job. So this is Ann Hitt. Meet Ann Hitt. This recording is a call that I had with Ann Hitt. The details of this call are in question because they are not in writing. Tell me what the expenses are that you won't give me in writing.
Expenses that you're being given credit for?
Whatever you reported, Ann.
Yeah, the only thing that changed, it added that insurance that you haven't seen anything. It's $60-something. I'm not. Hang on, I guess we're on a computer. So I can log in and look at it. Okay, can you hold on?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
This is interesting. Now remember, I described Ann Hitt as the person, the last individual who had the case and entered fraudulent information that was escalated all the way through the Mississippi State Legislature for review. And it was sent back saying, fix it the way he told you to do it. Now, that's what I had in the email, saying that they were told to fix it the way he told you to do it.
You're in for $250. The drugstore prescription expense, $1,505. And other medical, and I'm not really sure what that's your dental bills that was spread out over 12 months. And then the travel expense, the other medical is $2.83. And then the travel expense is $302.40. That's what's in here. Now they do percentages and stuff. I'm not exactly sure how they figure it out, but we put it in the system and the system figures it out for us. And then the health insurance that you reported to Ms. Patterson, you gave her that letter last week, is $65.20.
Is that all? You're Ann Hitt at the Webster County Department of Human Services, the Department of Human Services SNAP program.
That's it. Rent, drug expense, other medical, travel, and health insurance.
Okay. You're Ann Hitt at the Webster County Department of Human Services, and you're now my SNAP caseworker. And you're reporting to me that my expenses have been reported to the state's office as rent of $250, prescription costs of $1,505, other medical costs of $50.82, a travel and a travel expense of $302.40, and insurance costs of $65.20. And these are the allowable deductions for my.
This is what we put in the system, and then when we go to, hold on, so then what they're allowing you shelter, and your standard deduction is $160.
Now, let me explain to you very clearly what is happening. She is saying that what the state is allowing me to report as my expenses are not the numbers that she quoted originally, but these numbers. I'm going to go back again and restart it just a bit so you can understand more clearly. We're discussing allowable expenses. Now, as I explained to you earlier, if you have a $400 expense on your food stamp for your food, what is allowed for the deduction is up to $200, which means they're only gonna allow you to claim up to $200 of that $400. But you can report whatever amount that you want. They put that amount in, and what the system does, as she told you, when you tell them what it is, the system pops back a number. And Hitt is explaining herself as the system. She's saying that the amounts I reported were not allowed by the state. So she did not enter them into the system, and she's about to explain to you the numbers she actually entered into the system.
53 on shelter, and your standard deduction is $160. And that's what they're allowing you.
Who is they?
And how it's worked in the system, when you input your actual expenses, and I'm going out honest to goodness, could not tell you exactly what the percentages are and how they figured it out, or how it's the system to figure it out. But that's what you are allowed, those deductions. So if you want to write it down, or what we're doing, I'll go over them again, okay?
So, right there, she's explaining. I reported that it was approximately $250 a month expenses that I paid. She explains they're only allowing you to report 160. So what she did was put in 160. She didn't put in what I said. She put in 160. And she's going to continue to do this with my expenses until she gets to my income. And then she's going to hit the right number.
This is so allowed, what's being allowed. Is your standard deduction is 160. And then your excess medical is $398. And then the shelter cost is $53. And that's after I added your new health insurance expense in there. That's for April, not coming up.
So what's been allowed is $398 of excess medical, $53 for housing, and $160 as a standard deduction. That shows my allowable expenses at $611.
I don't know. I haven't added it all. Is that what you came up with? 611?
I just made up a number out of the blue. Do you have a calculator, or does your...
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. Hold on.
Okay.
611.
those.
What's the amount that I gave you before?
Yes.
What about the things that we entered into the system that you reported to us?
Those digits that you gave me prior, before you gave me what was allowed, what were those amounts for?
Your rent that you reported to us. And then you gave us a drugstore printout when you gave Ms. Patterson that health insurance thing.
Now she's explaining to you for herself. These are the numbers that I reported.
And then the other medical that's got today from when it was marked before I got it, that's your I believe that's going to be that dental bill. And then the travel is from your going to, I'm not sure it's Jackson. You know, I didn't work your case. The first time I worked your case is to add the health insurance.
Okay, and that amount is $682.
Oh, let me add that and I'll tell you. Is that what you came up with?
No, I just made it up.
And then the insurance. The insurance on that today.
All right.
Let me do it. I always like to do this one, so hold on.
Say it again.
638.48.
Okay. So with the information that I have reported to you, to the Webster County Department of Human Services, you were able to verify that there was a $250 payment for rent. You were able to verify there was at least $15.05 in additional prescription costs, at least $150.83 of medical costs reported, at least $302.40 you recorded as reported, and at least $65.62 you recorded as reported by the client, Thori Rush. Correct.
What did you get that $150 figure from?
I do apologize. Other medical should be $50.83. All right, and what's been allowed was actually $611, a $398 excess medical, only $53 of the housing, and the standard deduction of $163. I'm sorry, the standard deduction of $160.
Now, again, you listen to the difference between what was reported and what was allowed.
$163, $393. All right, and what's been allowed was actually other costs reported. 300 at least, and you were able to. So, with the information that I have reported to you, to the Webster County Department of Human Services, you were able to verify that there was a $250 payment for rent. You were able to verify there was at least $15.05 in additional prescription costs, at least $150.83 of medical costs reported, at least $302.40 you recorded as reported, and at least $65.62 you recorded as reported by the client, Thori Rush. Correct.
What did you get that $150 figure from?
I do apologize. Other medical should be $50.83. All right, and what's been allowed?
Now, all of those are questions on a form. Those are questions on a form. I just take the receipts, the bill on the receipts, put the numbers, add them up, put the numbers on the form, take the receipts, put them with the form, and take it down there and let them read it. That's all you're hearing. That's what I did. So
40 cents you've recorded is reported, and at least 65 cents of
I'm gonna let you hear.
at the County Department of Human Services.
All right. So here it is again. I filled out a form. I'm reading to you what I reported on the form.
Okay. So with the information that I have reported to you, to the Webster County Department of Human Services, you were able to verify that there was a $250 payment for rent. You were able to verify there was at least $15.05 in additional prescription costs, at least $150.83 of medical costs reported, at least $302.40 you've recorded as reported, and at least $65.62 you've recorded as reported by the client, Zori Rush. Correct.
Where did you get that $150 figure from?
I do apologize. Other medical should be $50.83.
All right. What you're about to hear now is what the caseworker puts into the system. Now, the numbers that I just read are the numbers that they are supposed to put into the system. And Hitt is about to read the numbers that she put into the system.
All right, and what's been allowed was actually $611, $398.
Now, mind you, that's what the law says. What would be allowed? But as Ann Hitt has already explained, the law is in the computer, not in her hands. All she does is take my information, put it into the system, and it spits back a number. What Ann Hitt did was she took the law, put it in her hands, and wrote it down.
Excess medical, only $53 of the housing, and the standard deduction of $163. Only $53, right? And what's been allowed was actually $611, a $398 excess medical, only $53 of the housing, and the standard deduction of $163. Was actually $611, a $398 excess. Zori Rush. Correct.
Where did you get that $150 figure from?
I do apologize. Other medical should be $50.83.
All right. So now we're going to verify what Ann Hitt wrote into the system.
All right, and what's been allowed was actually $611, a $398 excess medical, only $53 of the housing, and the standard deduction of $163. I'm sorry.
Now, what she has been allowed to put into the system were those numbers.
Sorry, the standard deduction of $160. I have it recorded as such. I've been refused documentation that proves this, but I have Miss Ann Hitt on the phone confirming that these are the actual figures that are used to calculate my SNAP benefits. Is this correct?
What was that line? Something about your SNAP benefits? What was that
That
line?
you have these
wouldn't be surprised if that was a hang-up. I'm not sure if it was. I think what happened was she did hang up and then call right back. We got one more call with Ann. Let's listen. This one's only 2 minutes. I got this printout here. I don't know why the video's not working. It's working a few minutes ago.
Supplemental insurance, 6520.
Okay, I'm just calling to get the information that you have, but you haven't. You're not allowed to put these words in writing that you just told me.
We have notices that go out with each situation, and it's a computer generated notice, and we just kind of fill in the blanks, and that's not part of the notice, the expenses that are allowed.
Okay, I'm asking you.
What Ann Hitt just said was she not allowed to write what she just said down on a piece of paper. She's allowed to tell me she did it right, but I know how she did it because I know how she came up with the numbers she came up with. She explains it to you perfectly. But you, as a government employee who's paying for this, are creating more and more liability for yourselves by just pretending that it didn't happen. But let's hear Ann again say what the government is allowed to do with my records she created.
Okay, I'm just calling to get the information that you have, but you haven't. You're not allowed to put these words in writing that you just told me.
We have notices that go out with each situation, and it's a computer generated notice, and we just kind of fill in the blanks, and that's not part of the notice, the expenses that are.
We just got to fill in the blanks. We just got to fill in the blanks. That's what Ann Hitt said. We just got to fill in the blanks.
Okay, I'm asking you a point-blank question. You're not allowed to put the words that you're saying now in writing.
It's not on the notice.
No,
Ann Hitt is not allowed to write down the words she's saying on behalf of the SNAP program. That's what she said. That she is not allowed to write down in Mississippi what Mississippi did with federal money.
I'm not asking you about a notice. I received a letter from Wanda Fancher where she typed something, and I also received a letter from Annie Patterson where she just typed something. And I'm asking you, are you not allowed to do the same thing? I'm not asking you about a notice.
No.
All right. Okay, thanks.
Now I'm not. Now I sued immediately after I sued them. Immediately after I sued them. Now I'm gonna look. I'm gonna show you what this is. This notice says that she's talking about. This shit's amazing. This shit's amazing because she references a notice. You hear her reference a notice that they sent to me. They've already sent me a notice. This is the notice. Effective April 2018, you will receive $90 through June 2018. Effective, you will receive $ through period. If this block is checked, your SNAP benefits will be changed. If this block is checked, the change reported did not make a difference. If this block is checked, your benefits have been approved without allowing for deduction. There is no check on either of those boxes, and that's all. None of the information that she just said is here. Now, and Hitt did write something on this notice dated 3/23/2018. It says, this is a change notice you get when you report a change that causes an increase in your benefits. You don't get interim report notices when a change is worked. In other words, I can put in whatever I want and you don't ever get to see it. Now you buy that shit from Ann Hitt. I'm suing her ass for even thinking she can use the name Zori Rush like that.